Money. 1. Do you think it is the rich people's responsibility to donate money to people in need? To some extent, yes. I think people who are wealthy should support those who are less fortunate. However, I don't think charity should be seen as an obligation. It should come from genuine generosity rather than social pressure. 2. What kind of things are people happy to pay a high price for? I think people are happy to pay more for things they use regularly or that can improve their quality of life. If such things last longer or work better, I think most people see them as good investments, not expenses. For example, a good phone, a comfortable bed, or high-quality car can make a noticeable difference to one's daily life. 3. Do you often buy more than you expected? Occasionally, yeah. I usually have a shopping list, but I sometimes buy a few extra things if I see a good deal or remember something I need. It doesn't happen all the time, but it's definitely easy to spend more than I planned. 4. What do you think young people spend most of their money on? I'd say technology is probably one of the biggest expenses for young people. Things like smartphones, laptops, or wireless earbuds have become everyday essentials. So many people don't mind upgrading them every few years. Besides that, they also enjoy spending money on experiences, whether that's traveling, trying new restaurants, or going to music festivals. 5. Do you think it is important to save money? Why? Definitely. I think saving money gives people a greater sense of security because unexpected expenses, especially those related to health and safety, can happen at any time. Besides, having savings also gives people more freedom to make important life decisions instead of constantly worrying about their finances. 6. Do people buy things they don't need? Yes, I think it happens quite often. These days, advertising and social media create the feeling that people always need the newest products, even when their current ones still work perfectly well. As a result, many purchases are driven more by emotion than actual necessity.
Keeping things. 1. What things do families keep for a long time? I think most families keep things that have sentimental value rather than monetary value. For example, old family photos, jewelry, handwritten letters, or even a child's first drawings are things people rarely throw away. They may not be expensive, but they help preserve family memories. 2. What's the difference between things valued by people in the past and today? I think people in the past tended to value things with sentimental or practical value, while people today often value convenience and innovation. For example, previous generations might keep the same watch or piece of furniture for decades, whereas today people are more willing to replace things when something better comes along. 3. What kinds of things are kept in museums? Museums usually keep things that tell us something about the past. That could be historical objects, traditional clothing, ancient tools, or famous works of art. They help visitors understand how people lived and how society has changed over time. 4. What's the influence of technology on museums? I think technology has made museums much more enjoyable. Visitors can now interact with the exhibits, which makes the experience more active and engaging. For example, people can now watch animations, listen to audio guides, or even explore exhibits in virtual reality, instead of simply looking at items.
Technology/AI. 1. Why are people keen on buying new electronic devices? I think people buy new electronic devices because they want to make their lives more convenient. As technology improves, newer devices can perform tasks faster and more efficiently, so people naturally feel they're worth upgrading. For example, someone might replace an old laptop because the new one allows them to work much more smoothly and saves them time every day. 2. What impact do electronic devices have on people? I think electronic devices have changed the way people manage their daily lives. Instead of spending time on routine tasks, people can now complete them with just a few taps on a screen. A simple example is online banking. Rather than visiting a bank branch, people can transfer money or pay bills within a minute, which makes everyday life much more convenient. 3. What are the advantages and disadvantages of AI? I think the biggest advantage of AI is that it increases productivity. Since it can process information much faster than humans, people are able to finish many tasks in a fraction of the time. For instance, instead of spending an hour analyzing a large data set, an AI tool can do it in just a few minutes, allowing people to focus on more important work. The main drawback is that people may stop thinking for themselves. If they rely on AI whenever they face a problem, they gradually lose the habit of analyzing and solving problems independently. Over time, this can weaken their critical thinking skills without them even realizing it. 4. Do you think people today should learn about AI technology? Yes, definitely. I think understanding AI is becoming as important as knowing how to use a computer. Since AI is now part of many jobs, people who know how to use it effectively are likely to have a competitive advantage. For example, an employee who can use AI to automate repetitive tasks will often complete their work faster than someone who relies entirely on manual methods. 5. Should children learn to use AI? Yes, but I think they should learn how to use it as a learning tool rather than a shortcut. If children use AI to understand difficult ideas or receive feedback on their work, it can make learning much more effective. However, if they simply copy AI-generated answers, they won't develop the knowledge or thinking skills they need in the future. 6. How can AI help in our lives? I think AI helps by reducing the amount of repetitive work people have to do. Instead of spending time on simple but time-consuming tasks, people can let AI handle them and focus on work that requires creativity or decision-making. Take email management as an example. AI can summarize long email threads in seconds, allowing users to understand the key points without reading every message. 7. Do you think students are overly reliant on AI? Yes, to some extent. I think some students have started treating AI as a substitute for learning rather than a tool to support it. When every assignment can be completed with a single prompt, there's little incentive to think deeply or solve problems independently. That's why some students receive good grades but struggle to explain their own work during presentations or exams. 8. What can teachers do to stop students from relying too much on AI? I think the best solution is to design assessments that require students to demonstrate their own understanding. When students know they'll have to explain their ideas face-to-face, they can't simply depend on AI-generated answers. For example, after submitting a written assignment, they could be asked to give a short presentation or answer follow-up questions, which encourages them to genuinely understand what they've written.